Alright.
We're recording?
Yep.
Alright, welcome back, folks. This is the Bullshit Buddies coming to you once again from Las Vegas. We plan on shooting somewhere else, but the horrors in this city are just way too good to pass up on.
Yeah. They kind of like know exactly my name now. Every time I walk in, it's like a family reunion. Hey, how's it going? Will you be taking the a la carte menu today, or the?
I'll just take number 4.
Yeah, I'll take number 4. What's her name? Jasmine.
I picture number 4 as being a service, not a.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Well, I think number 4 comes with like when you know how like you'll order.
Just naming the women after numbers seems.
Well, okay, so you know how you like get
close.
chicken and then you'll get cordon bleu, with like it's chicken packed with blue cheese. Okay, so what if you get Ashley, who's just like missionary, but then you get Jasmine, who is doggy, and
it's not like each. Have you spent any goddamn time here? I mean, I know we've been behind closed doors for these encounters, but like I like to think you've been having a similar experience to myself. Anyways, so the prompting for this particular podcast came when our patron saint, Jordan Peterson, was recently banned from YouTube.
Yes, and that was resolved. Just to be clear, we're not going to bitch about the banning.
No, it was
so
the
much.
motivation. The motivation for it. Although it was a seemingly senseless ban on his
a little bit
expression.
Weird. You're gonna ban a psychologist.
Yeah.
Really?
But this kind of got us thinking, got our gears turning a little bit on the issue of, you see this kind of thing happen fairly often where certain media platforms will ban certain individuals who are spreading messages that they don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
And when confronted about it, usually the response seems to be something along the lines of, well, we're a private organization. We have our own beliefs, and the person who's participating on this, be it YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, is not congruent with those beliefs. It's not necessarily, they don't necessarily, I never heard them say like they don't agree with exactly what we say, but too much in opposition to what we say. So we're not obligated as our own independent business to have to tolerate that kind of thing on a website that we made.
Right.
And this one's going to be a very informal debate because Jeffrey and I are a bit in opposition to this this issue. And we don't really know what the fuck each other's going to say. So why don't you give me the advantage by laying out what you think first, and then we'll go from there.
Well, here's my thought, and it just recently occurred to me while you were doing your rambly intro.
Shut the fuck up.
That what I'm about to say might sound a little bit socialist, but I don't believe it is, because, as we all know, socialism is opposed to opposing ideas.
Do we all know that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you look at the history of socialism.
I mean, you and I, beyond you and I, do we all know that?
Well, let's, if you don't know that, look up just look up socialism.
Read the Gulag.
Read the Gulag Archipelago. Have you read that?
I'm remiss to admit that I haven't read all of it, but I've read a decent amount.
Yeah.
And,
again, so this is going to be the second Jordan Peterson tribute minute.
Aren't all of our...
a little bit.
Can we just start naming all of our videos?
Here's the thing, though.
Tribute 1, 2,
I'm
3.
sure if we ever actually get viewers, we're going to get flack from referencing Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, and these guys. And I'm sure that there will be Hitchens, yeah.
Those are our three patron saints.
Moment of silence.
Buddies. We didn't do it last time.
No, we should do it now. We should do it now. No. Anyway, I guess we would be considered like, well, you're just parroting their ideas. And it's like, okay, I understand that argument, but I think why we reference Jordan Peterson, Hitchens, and the many guests that have been on Joe Rogan so much is because we kind of been tossing these ideas around a lot, just you and me, and we realize that these ideas are actually espoused by some of the most intelligent minds in our country, and it's not because we thought of those.
We're also some of the most intelligent minds in the country, of course. But beyond that, It's actually twofold. So I think part of it is if they influenced us, it's right to source that as being an influence.
Yes.
I actually think of that somewhat as being like the way that bands will wear band T-shirts of other bands when they go out and perform because that's their influences. They're repping that. They're sourcing it in a sense of where I got this idea, even though what I'm doing isn't exactly the same as them. It's definitely influenced by them. But yeah, that's the other thing that I think that you're right to bring up, and that's been kind of very interesting is every time that I have a thought, I go and I want to start searching for information on that thought, and I come across people like Joe Rogan and Hitchens and Jordan Peterson, and I'm like, fuck, like these guys. You know, it's not like they didn't put the words in my head. The words were kind of already there.
Yeah,
they just managed to articulate them a lot more
we had a nugget,
and a lot more.
You had a nugget of a thought, and they expounded upon that.
It's actually one of the most frustrating things. Every time I feel like I have an original thought, my first thing now is to go to the internet and try to search for it. And I usually find that there's like hundreds of books on it. There's countless YouTube talks on it. You can actually major in it at certain schools. And shit. It's like, goddamn, like I've literally to date had one, so far as I can tell, original thought that's so convoluted in terms of like evo-psych sexual interaction that I'm not even going to bother to get into the details.
I think I've heard it.
But literally one. So far in my 26 years, I've been able to determine that I've had one original thought.
And I would argue though that just to expound upon that idea that. Damn, that Mike Hess had some power to it.
This podcast is brought to you by Mike Hess.
Not
it might
really.
sound like a brand of designer jeans, but it's actually a very tasty craft beer.
Actually, not a
sponsor. We have
sponsor.
invited in several and obligatory. Yes, we're not actually sponsored by anyone at all, but it is a good beer.
It is a good beer. So thank you, Mike. What the fuck was I going to say?
That was part of debate, bro. I'm derailing you.
Yeah.
Your conversation.
Well, no, because I was going to agree with you, but I think if anything, these are, of course, these ideas that we talk about have been uttered by other entities. We're just being very transparent in who we heard say them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I said sourcing.
Yeah.
Give credit where credit's due. I mean, if I like to, I don't like to just throw out quotes unless I can say who said them first, right? I mean, has third wave feminism had an original thought, or was it all kind of about that book that one woman wrote? You know what I'm talking about. I can't remember her name, but anyway. Talking about Peggy?
Maybe.
I can't Peggy Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack? That was an
article.
No.
No. There was a book written by a feminist who was basically men are evil. You know, sex with a man and a woman. The woman is raped, even if it's consensual. It's like this
You're
kind
gonna
of
have
thing.
to narrow it down a little further than that.
No, but these are ideas were espoused in this book that this woman wrote, which has basically been elaborated by many other people.
But they all put their unique bent on it, though. Is kind of what I mean.
For sure.
Even within the most echo chambery circle jerk that you can find online.
It wouldn't be a circle jerk. It'd be a circle flick.
A circle DJ sesh. Yeah.
Which is also a joke by Dane Cook.
Dude.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, I've been meaning to talk to you about this, and I didn't mean to do it on air. But I was hopping on YouTube to listen to some shit, and one of Dane Cook's things, I think probably because I've listened to a lot of stand-up on YouTube, came up, and I was like, I haven't listened to this since like 2009. This happened like just a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and I kind of remember thinking he was a bit of a douche.
Yeah.
But that was some of my first stand-up, like early high school days. It was like first stand-up. And I went back and I listened to a couple of things, and I feel like if I didn't have the bias, like if I didn't hate Ashton Kutcher because I just want to punch him in the fucking face, and I just saw his acting.
We can't hate Ashton Kutcher anymore because he is head of that anti-child pornography organization.
I don't give a fuck.
I think actually, if you're going to donate to a charity, his is the most worthwhile.
I'm pro anti-child pornography, but I'm anti-Ashton Kutcher. I don't care.
Yeah.
Anyways, but I listened to it. It wasn't that bad, man. I mean, just from a pure structure, getting the crowd pumped up. Mm-hmm. I feel like I have a lot more appreciation for how stand-up works now, in terms of what it really means to control a crowd. Dane Cook does a pretty fucking good job.
There's a charming bit of it,
quote unquote career is just down the shitter. But I don't know, man. Like it's been almost a decade since I fucking listened to this shit, but I was laughing my ass off.
No, he was funny in the sense that a superhero movie is entertaining. Is that if you turn your brain off and you just listen or watch,
not very intellectual.
It'll get you. Yeah.
I get that, and not particularly observant. His is just funny stories about having.
It's mostly like relationship based. Things that we all do every day. It's
shallow.
It's not really going deep in the same sense that somebody like I guess like Louis C.K. will do when he talked about abortion in the ultra simplistic terms, but he was going really. Yeah, we're recording.
Where do I see the time though?
Oh, you can't see the time. Just stop recording and then
Okay. Well,
anyway, going back to
the topic
going
we're
back to YouTube.
Supposed to be talking about.
Sorry. So here's my argument: is obviously YouTube was not invented by Google. It was bought in 2006, 2005, somewhere around there, by Alphabet, aka Google. Now, with that, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, social media. What is their main, I guess, marketing point? Is that these are a place to share. They're a place to share ideas. Mm-hmm. Whether that is sharing a cupcake recipe with your grandmother, or whether that is sharing a political idea with Ben Shapiro. These are places where communication is the sole reason for being. To take a side...
Well, and cute cat videos.
And cute cat videos. Well, that's a form of communication. You're communicating a cute kitty to your girlfriend. Or whatever.
It's usually worse on those. Actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Ironically, it gets me more pussy, too.
But
not ironic, but it's not unexpected. Anyways.
But the platform, by nature, is politically and religiously or any thought agnostic. It's just... This is a platform to put the shit on. So for YouTube to be taking sides against what's right and wrong, I think, is kind of ridiculous. And Twitter with their shadow banning, and Facebook, of course, with their just fucking banning of people.
Right. And I'll actually expand on your side a bit because we were discussing this earlier today, where the algorithm / actual personal intervention on behalf of YouTube employees will prevent someone like Joe Rogan, who can have 250,000 fucking people tuning in to a live broadcast of his, and yet it will never show up on the trending page on the front page of YouTube,
right?
As opposed to some news story that they're more agreeable with that has 20,000 viewers period that's not being streamed live,
right?
So I'm not denying that there is a bias being exhibited on these forums, but I feel like you kind of seem to come at it from the angle as if there's some kind of intrinsic right for people to be posting on these things because they're kind of normative in how people tend to exchange ideas now.
Yeah,
I'm not necessarily in agreement. Just finish up the rest of this thought, but because they are private entities. I mean, imagine that you start the next big social media platform and you have your certain ideas. Knowing you, I actually like to think that you probably wouldn't restrict.
I would try to be fair, but there would certainly be some intrinsic bias. I mean, that's been a thing with journalism for a long time. Where
honestly,
can you not be biased? Probably not.
I even feel like, I mean, maybe this is before the power rushes to our head, but I feel like you and me both think that
what power?
I'm putting in the hypothetical that you started the next YouTube.
Okay.
Right, and it got just as big. I like to think that you and me think that if ideas are intrinsically ridiculous enough, that it doesn't require moderation.
I would agree.
I'm a big fan of if you want to have a neo-Nazi who comes by a college campus and gives his speech, we talked about this on a previous podcast, I'm in favor of that because I think that the intrinsic ridiculousness of the Nazis' ideas are going to be shut down without any effort on my part.
Right.
I don't need to show up there and make false bomb threats or pull fire alarms to get this guy off campus because I think anybody with half a brain realizes that he's a fucking idiot. So I don't think you and I are at least in terms of how we view the free speech issue, are likely to try to step in and enforce that kind of thing. But the flip side of free speech and free enterprise is that if somebody wants to have a website where they don't particularly want certain kind of views espoused, they're right to do that.
Yes, I see where you're going, and I don't disagree.
All right.
Because
we're supposed to disagree. It's a goddamn debate.
Well, I'm just saying, like, freedom of speech goes both ways. But here's how I view these social media sites. There's a park in England famous for having people get up on their soapboxes and talk, right? So probably people are laughing that I don't remember the name of it because it's completely like world famous. But this is how I view YouTube. Now, YouTube as a platform that is as a piece of software that we run every time we log into youtube.com is the soapbox.
Okay.
Cigarette?
Yeah, actually, our viewers can probably tell because I've been noticing that there's a sharp click every time that we...
Well,
there's something about... maybe it's not because you turn off the compressor for this episode, but...
Guys, we smoke. We don't condone it, but we smoke. I only smoke on the weekends now, though.
Basically, Jeff only smokes when he's with me.
Yeah, that's basically true.
I do smoke all the time, though.
Yeah. Anyway.
And I'll see you in the hospital ward in 30 years.
If you're lucky, that long. So YouTube as a piece of software is a soapbox for people to stand on. Now, the people that own that soapbox would be like the police. Who are the police? They are Google, Alphabet. They have a social responsibility, I believe, to allow anybody with very few stipulations to stand up on that soapbox and say whatever they want. Because that is our main form of communications if you don't want to hear a corporate opinion. You can log into CNN or Fox News. You can hear a corporate opinion at any time. But with YouTube, the great thing is you can hear Joe Schmo fucking in Wichita and wherever, Kentucky, let's say. I think Wichita's in Kansas. You can hear what he has to say, and it might not be popular. But outside of inducing violence or raping or child abuse, he has every right to say what he wants to say. And for you to take a side and say that he can't say what he was going to say on a platform that is, if it's the main form of communication between states, amongst people, that is your ultimate responsibility, is to make sure that those lanes are open.
All right, okay. So let's take this out of the digital sphere for a moment and look at something like the Google campus, which is essentially a self-sustaining city that they're setting up in locally, actually. But they are their own company. If you could get up in the lobby of this essentially self-sustaining city on a literal soapbox and spread whatever you want to say, you'd reach a lot of people. You'd reach a lot of people. You'd reach a lot of people of influence. But if Google, owning that campus, doesn't want you saying what you're going to say there, why are they wrong in doing that? I do understand that there seems to be some kind of moral obligation to allow this for I guess in the better interests of free speech.
Right.
But that seems to be it's not an obligation.
It's not an obligation. That's why I say it's a social responsibility.
Social responsibility is a good word for it. Actually, I would agree with that. I mean, fuck you, we're debating. But one thing that actually has got me really comfortable with this idea recently is I've, as I mentioned to you, become pretty active on Reddit.
Oh, really? Really? You're one of those. No, I'm just kidding.
They can fuck you.
How's that neck beard working out for you?
That's just incels, bro. All right. Actually, there's a whole sub dedicated to like real neckbeard things. I just recently saw a guy in full. It looked like some kind of cross between like samurai and like the band Kiss outfit, who literally speared a salmon with a samurai sword in a river, which I was actually pretty fucking impressed with. Yeah, that's
pretty impressive.
He's just standing there, just sword up, just 20 seconds of that, just. And anyways, that was more impressive than most of the things on that sub. Anyways, that was what I was actually going to say. So there's different. If you're not familiar with Reddit, it's a large social media forum. People post pictures, words, fucking videos, whatever. And they're usually allocated to different subreddits, which are dedicated to certain topics. There's certain subreddits that are very one-sided in what they want to talk about. I mentioned incels. Not even going to get into that. Go look it up for yourself if you're interested.
Involuntarily celibate. Involuntarily
celibate. Yeah. It's disgusting. But other ones would be late-stage capitalism is one, and that's a communist subreddit. There's 2X chromosomes, which is a feminist, specifically women kind of subreddit, and it's kind of stipulated in their rules that this isn't for debate. This is for people with like-minded opinions to come and discuss what they agree with, and you can say that that's a circle jerk or an echo chamber, and quite frankly, you'd be right. But if they kind of state from the onset, on late-stage capitalism, we're not interested in hearing why capitalism is shitty, or on late-stage capitalism, we're not interested in hearing why communism is a shitty idea. They put that out in the open, like right from the beginning.
Right.
So if I want to come on, and occasionally something like that will show up on the front page, which is an amalgamation of what you subscribe to / what's popular. Something will show up on there, and my knee-jerk reaction is to hop on that thread and go, "You guys are fucking wrong for A, B, and C." But they've stated in their rules, this is a place where we want to talk about the virtues of communism, not the bad parts of communism. And if I post something like that, generally speaking, I'm going to get deleted or banned pretty quickly. So I get that like YouTube and Facebook and all this have gained notoriety way beyond what any individual subreddit has had or probably ever will have. But if they state explicitly at the beginning, like, here's what we think, and actually, you know what? I don't know. I mean, is YouTube saying we don't support right opinions?
Well, here's the thing. I think it comes down to, and the only way you can judge this is influencing opinion.
Okay.
So, let's just say YouTube, because that's what we're on. As you mentioned, somebody like Joe Rogan will get no trending promotion.
He will get you free advertising.
But somebody who agrees with YouTube, or I guess agrees with that corporate mentality that they put out there, will get trending. Well, you are artificially influencing opinion, because you're saying, if you come to this site, this is exactly what you're going to hear. It's I think when you look at how humans communicate now, it's largely digital. And if you're going to put up a social media platform, you do have a social responsibility to make sure it's as flat and even and everybody can have their voices heard. It's almost analogous to, like I said, the soapbox, the speaker speaking in a college campus. It's to me one and the same, because they have a reach and that is almost unprecedented. Now, I would agree with you that if we want a fair and free platform, the best solution would be for us to create it. I totally agree with that. And YouTube and Facebook and Twitter can do whatever they want with their platform. But that doesn't really negate the fact that they still are not acknowledging a social responsibility to be as fair and even-keeled as possible.
So, two parts of that. I social responsibility in what sense? I mean, if
So I viewed it kind of like in a sorry.
No, go ahead.
I viewed it in kind of like a.
Gotta crack more beers.
As like the onset of communication, right, was two men talking about the best way to make stone into some kind of useful tool. In fact, I think that's why language was invented. And then it just keeps going forward. Okay, then we had radio, then we had TV, and now we have the internet. And if you're going to put yourself forth as a company who makes a social media platform, that's where your social responsibility comes in. You are serving people. You're not, without people, you don't have a platform. So the people that come onto your site, if they want, I don't care if they want to discuss what best cat video of this year was, not one should win over the other in terms of influencing opinion.
Right, but you kind of use this soapbox analogy, and the traditional image of the soapbox is being put up in the town square, right? In most governments, if you're putting up a soapbox in the town square, you've paid for the road that you're putting that up on.
Okay.
Right. Like you're a contributing member of that society. You're paying your dues. Therefore, you should be socially obligated, at least from the government's point of view, to be able to voice your opinions in public because you're part of the public. You pay for the public.
Right.
Everyone does. Everyone who works does.
But don't we do that with Google or Alphabet or Facebook or Twitter? I mean, Google and
their
Alphabet.
advertisers pay for them.
Their advertisers pay for them, but their advertisers would
because
not...
they're reaching us because we use them.
So we kind of paid by just being there.
Okay, but I mean, you could say the same thing as of the board members of Google who set up the Googleplex campus. I'm embarrassed to say that that's happening in Cupertino, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I believe it is.
I don't know the fuck, I didn't know
Might
that
be Mountain
living this
View,
close.
actually,
I'm almost positive it's Cupertino.
Well, it's weird because Google is
in Silicon Valley. But if their investors are contrary to your opinions, why would they be under any obligation to allow you to come into their lobby and pop up that same soapbox and voice opinions that their investors don't like?
To that, I would say, because obviously investors are looking for a return on investment, right? Now, what got those investors their return on investment was having a huge population view ads.
Okay.
So, just by the sake, take opinion out of it, regardless of what your opinion is. Just by you getting on YouTube and watching a video with an ad in it, you have.
Sorry, do you actually listen to any of the ads past 5 seconds?
You
can click that skip ad
You know
button?
what? I say this, but I actually have YouTube Red, so I don't get ads.
Okay,
so wait.
shit.
No, wait. That makes me more because I'm paying into the YouTube system.
True.
So that might be more valid. I'm actively paying into YouTube, and as an active investor,
this draws back to an earlier point that I was going to make, because I was trying to draw a comparison between subreddits and YouTube or Facebook or whatever. And in the, say, late stage communism or capitalism subreddit, it's explicitly stated that we just want to talk about communism. If you want to debate about communism, go to these other subreddits.
Right.
Is that, I don't actually know, is there anything that explicitly stated in YouTube or Facebook's code of conduct or terms of and agreement use shit that says we don't want to hear somebody making this what we see as an unpopular contrarian opinion? Is there anything like that?
I don't know. As you put it, I don't know. But if you're talking about separating ideas for easy indexing, right? Like you want to find pro-communism on Reddit, you go here. You want to find anti-communism on Reddit, you go here.
You want to debate communism,
right?
Go here.
Well, YouTube already has that, just by the nature of having a channel-based system. So you can go to Steven Crowder, and you can hear a Republican view. You can go to Ben Shapiro, and you can hear a more, I would say, progressive Republican view. YouTube's indexing system is based on having a wide, diverse channel system.
Okay, but like I stated before, I feel like you and I are in the position where if we created the next YouTube, we wouldn't be adverse to people voicing what we see as stupid opinions on that website, because we feel like the demerits of those particular stupid opinions speak for themselves.
Right.
And I don't need to ban you if you're saying they're this flat, because I think you're an idiot, and I think that most rational people are going to realize that you're an idiot, and anybody who does think that you have some merit to your argument is such an irredeemable idiot that I'm not worried about convincing them anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But is it not within your right to do that?
It totally is.
If you made the platform YouTube,
I think
and
it
you
is.
say I'm litigiously, I mean, maybe we'll move to something a little more with a little more gravity. Let's say you have somebody who's denying climate change.
Right.
You view that as something that if you deny, that's contributing towards literally like your death or the death of your children.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to ban that, is that not within your right?
Well, let's say that we had a platform and we called it BSTube. And it was, for the first 10 years of its life...
Probably bullshit too, but...
Yeah. Well, the first 10 years of its life, it was cat videos and dog videos that went into center politics. Because those things make sense. But then BSTube became a feminist... basically what we would personally disagree with.
Right.
It became a platform for them.
Feminism, progressivism,
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, on one side...
PC culture.
Right. On one side, I would say they have every right to discuss what they want on my platform. On the other side, I would be personally opposed to them, and I would feel that there would be some... Like, man, I should do something here because they're spreading bullshit. Like, if I heard somebody spread the campus rape statistic and the female wage gap ad nauseum, and it was repeated across 4,000 channels on our...
That's what I mean, though. Yeah. Is you can't realistically, as a single individual, go on and try to dispute all those claims. And I wonder if you're at the point of being behind the delete button or the ban button for those things.
Mm-hmm.
Are you not going to go, that's just bullshit, I don't have time to refute it?
Right. So I'm going to ban it.
Click, and you're gone. And I mean, as I stated before, I feel like, at least in terms of intention, you and I wouldn't be the kind of people to do that. But I could kind of see how if we ended up with that kind of absolute power.
Yeah, I think ridiculous enough, we would definitely hit that ban button for sure.
Like at least sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But the thing is, we're talking about personal values versus a public platform, and the sheer eyes on YouTube.
It's not public though. It's private.
But should it be considered?
It is very public because of the notoriety. Right. But my counter, if you.
Yeah, we're fine.
Doom, doom, doom.
I only have 92 minutes left on my battery.
I also like how those car alarms, Speaking
of that, Dane Cook. Hello? I'm a car.
I actually missed that one.
Gas makes me run. No, okay. Anyway. Anyway.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wait, that's a
Dane Cook bit, yeah.
Fuck. I'm gonna have to continue listening to his shit. I don't know. Yeah. But do you notice those have declined severely recently? Like that was a thing for 3 years. Every goddamn car had that alarm system, and then people realized that that just made people want to smash their windows more. Mm-hmm. I think. Anyways, I think that the best possible rebuttal to if you have a private entity that's not agreeing with your views and you want to oppose contrarian views to that, set up your own goddamn platform.
I agree 100%.
And if your views have the merit that you think that they do, that we think that they do, you'll get views and you'll get public support and you'll get investors and you'll get ads.
But I think that's almost a little bit ideal because right now YouTube is the one with the eyes, as much as Facebook is the one with the I don't know what does fucking Facebook deal with, but
likes. I guess it's hard. They basically have a monopoly.
Yeah,
actually. You're right to say that at least I think what you're trying to say is that they basically have monopolized the market in their niche spheres at this point, and it's very hard for any other video sharing entity to encroach on YouTube's ground.
And it's because YouTube is quality. They have an excellent video. I mean, how
excellent array of cat videos.
Do you remember like the days before YouTube, you get on fucking Real Media Play and you try to watch the video and it's buffer.
Shitty flash videos.
And
And shit,
yeah. So I guess like my point is, yes, YouTube has, as an entity, every right to ban whatever the hell they want. But I would urge and plead with YouTube, for the sake of fair conversation, to understand that their platform is also the main sphere of digital discourse, and that they should recognize that and take that into account in whatever decision they try to make.
Well, yeah, I mean, so if we're hypothesizing about ideals and what should be, I completely agree that YouTube should be a completely unbiased platform, and that if Joe Rogan manages to get 250,000 viewers to tune into his live fucking broadcast, that deserves more time on the trending feed than something that has 20,000 aggregate. But if YouTube has its own political agenda,
Yeah.
because the investors or the owners of YouTube have their own political agenda and it's their fucking website, I don't necessarily see a problem with that, because I mean, again, as much as I like to think that I'd be fair and unbiased if I had my own finger on the button, so to speak, I don't think I would be. And to some extent, I'd like the ability to say, no, this is just toxic and I'm going to shut it down. And I think they're being way too gratuitous in that. I mean, Jordan, as you said, ban a psychologist, fucking Jordan Peterson.
Right.
The guy's literally just talking about psychology and slightly contrarian opinions, and you're gonna ban him for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous.
I don't know if it's 12 hours, but it was at least 12 hours. But.
Yeah, it was all news to me.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. I don't want to take that away from him. I mean, and actually, just occurred to me, how are you going to regulate that?
Right.
Right. What are you going to do? Are you going to get the government involved and have the government say YouTube can't?
Right.
Can't
and that's
fucking ban. That's a whole another
Yeah.
frightening level of control over private entities. To the point of governments literally telling private entities what they can and cannot display on their own fucking websites.
Right.
That's almost scarier to me than the idea that YouTube would ban Jordan Peterson for
Right. Well, I think I view
hours.
I view this as the traditional corporate mentality, which a corporation, traditionally speaking, in America was actually pretty short-lived entity that would, like, let's say the Bay Bridge needs to be repaired. A corporation would gather the funds and gather the people to do that, and they would go repair the Bay Bridge, and then they would disband after that. And there's actually, like, I mean, that's pretty well documented in American history. We need to get rid of this us versus them mentality. We're not members of Parliament. We're not members of Congress. We're not members of fucking the White House. We're not political. You just realize that we're all, like, we're Americans trying to sort shit out, and that I think as the platform owner, you have every right to do whatever the fuck you want. If you want to go back and make brony videos, like, the only thing you want to put on YouTube from now on is just My Little Pony videos that 34 plus men like. Fine, you can do that, but
It's very specific.
But the platform is kind of.
Are you 34?
No, not yet. A long ways away. At least 5 years away. The platform is.
Do you like bronies though?
I don't. I don't like brownies. But the
I told you, dude. Mechanisms derailing. That's what debate's all about.
I would just say the platform, I think, is best served. Even talking to investors, the platform is best served as an agnostic platform with as many eyes on it as possible. But if you don't agree with that, ban and fucking whoever you want. But realize too, you might not be the high horse for very much longer, because somebody will make another platform, and maybe we should make another platform. You got your computer science degree, right?
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It does seem to me like you're standing by ideals rather than practicalities.
I think
mean, part of what comes with dealing with capitalistic system, which I do think is the best possible way to operate society, and I think you agree, at least with the capitalism part, is that corporations should be allowed to regulate what they do and do not stand for.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So,
but but how old is social media? It's only about 10. I mean, MySpace. Let's say 15 years old. We don't really know what social media even is yet.
Right, but I mean, so the government regulates on monopolies and prevents the monopolies from becoming a thing in most other areas, and it hasn't been able to do that on the internet because, as you said, it's new, and the government doesn't really know what the fuck it's dealing with. But do we want it to?
No.
I mean,
no, we don't.
You know, I like. Do you want them stepping in and saying, no, you need to have the bullshit buddies on your front page with our 20 viewers and all that? Or, I mean, more, you know,
well, I'm
popularly Joe Rogan with his 250,000 people tuning into a live broadcast in the interest of fairness. And that kind of getting back to the point, like, how do you regulate that? How realistically do you regulate that? I agree that in a more utopian society, which I wish that we lived in, but we don't, they would get equal representation. But I mean, fuck, dude. People have the right to make their own organizations that believe in their own certain things. So,
I'm not taking that away from any corporation that decides to do what they want to do with their platform at all. I'm just saying that not to say that the government should ever step in and regulate social media, but I think we as people need to decide what social media is. Is social media as a product? Is social media Suave shampoo, where you just buy Suave shampoo and that's all you think about?
Right.
Or is it a open? Or is it CVS where you can go and you can get Suave shampoo? You know, is it a retailer or is it a product? And I think it's a retailer.
I'd say it even goes beyond that because, I mean, whether or not you like Suave shampoo over Axe shampoo or
sponsored by Suave Nums
or whatever, ultimately it just comes down to what you're putting in your hair. But platforms like YouTube have an ability to regulate what you're putting in your head,
right?
And it's a whole, like I said, I don't feel like the government or even us are adequately equipped to deal with just what social media means in today's day and age, and it's fucking trippy.
It's trippy, yeah. I think it's a marketplace, though. I think it's a marketplace where you can select what you would like, in that, you know, for instance, just to take it back to the retailer analogy, if I go to
a liquor store and buy Mike Hess.
Right, yeah. If I go to a liquor store and they don't have Mike Hess, is it wrong of me to request Mike Hess? No. Do they have to order Mike Hess? Absolutely not. But as a retailer, would it be in their best interest to order what a customer would like? Maybe if there's enough customers.
Well, but they have to apply it to. I mean, maybe the majority of YouTube users are liberal.
Right.
So maybe
true.
Maybe the majority are progressive. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But maybe they don't want to hear about how wage gap and 1 in 4 rape statistics are bullshit. So they don't want to hear about Joe Rogan coming on his podcast talking about specialists with this kind of thing.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean,
it's kind of, I think it's somewhere in between both of our opinions,
at
really.
In an effort at least to try to draw this to a conclusion, I would say, if I had to find some middle ground, that it would be ideal for companies to treat the power that they have with the social responsibility that it entails, but is not required.
Right.
And that the government should not get involved in these kind of things.
I agree.
I guess though, but I mean, what they want to stop, PG&E from having a monopoly on providing everyone power. I could see how they might want to stop YouTube from having a monopoly on providing everyone information.
Right.
So it's a weird kind of gray area too.
Yeah.
It's like I don't. I don't welcome the libertarian in me. Really fucking rejects the idea of the government being able to step in and say, here's what you can and can't show on YouTube.
Right.
We're going to have quotas for the certain amount of things that you have to show that are conservative. Like that's really frightening to me. But so too is the idea of YouTube having a monopoly on just disseminating liberal ideas.
Right.
So I guess
I think
it seems like what you're mainly arguing is really idealistic and is really...
It could be. I think that digitally, this is the great... Because we have libertarian values in the past, right? Where the market would decide and there's no regulation on markets. And what do we get? We got children in the workforce and horrible work conditions because it was the cheapest, most effective route to getting shit done.
Mm-hmm.
I think libertarian-wise, in the digital realm, let's see where this goes. And I don't think anybody should put any regulations on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter to do anything or not, or compelled or not compelled to do anything, because this is a kind of this is a safe space where we can really...
You heard it here, folks.
We can probe into these ideas, and the only thing that's going to happen is somebody is inconvenienced. How much did, Jordan Peterson, he's banned. I was like, fuck YouTube. Ban Jordan Peterson, fuck you. But what happened to Jordan Peterson? He was inconvenienced.
True. But it seems like you're giving a little ground here.
No, this is kind of my original position, was I don't want government regulation. I would like YouTube to realize their social responsibility, but that is ultimately a libertarian value.
Okay, so we can agree that organizations should be regulating themselves, while also acknowledging that that's not necessarily a realistic expectation of organizations in a capitalistic society.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think we're gonna get any further than that.
You
and
do
also,
you, YouTube.
I have to take a massive whiz.
Yeah, me too.
And knock on wood. Hope we don't get banned. Love
yeah.
you guys.
And
Peace.
if we do get banned, fuck YouTube.